Hello again, YouTubers. Welcome back as we are keeping on counting down our top 100 games of all time. Now, we are up to our 40 through 31. We took a dinner break between the last section and this one, and we're all full of food and, in my case, beer. And now we are going to continue on. I believe it is your turn to start us off with your number 40.
My number 40, if I can grab it here.
Oh, it's a big one.
Wasteland Express Delivery Service. It is, you can hug it, I know you want to.
It's so nice, I love this game. No, it's a good one.
It's a pick up and deliver game that has a little bit of fighting, but you don't, like, someone plays the part of the raiders, you don't fight each other.
In that regard, yeah, it kind of reminds me of when you do the fighting in Starfarers of Catan. Someone else plays the pirate.
Yeah.
You don't really fight. You don't fight each other. Yeah.
And there's always one. It's like the blue screen of death is the one. One thing that you always have, and then the other missions. The other missions are
all random. And then on top of that, they got that little worker placement element. This is just a really great game. This was a game I knew I was going to like before we bought it. And I'm glad I was right. And wow. So and
there's alternate player powers.
Variable player powers. Yes, there are variable player powers in this. Though the variable player powers are a little bit light. Some of them are just you start with different equipment, which then anybody can get. But that being said, this is a fantastic game. It's actually one of my favorite pickup and delivery games. Not saying I don't want to ruin where this is, if it will be in fact on my list. Are you saying there's no chance it won't be?
I don't think so.
Well, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't disagree with your choice at all. That's a fantastic game. I absolutely love Wasteland Express. Now, my number 40 is a game that you will only play with me on occasion, which makes me sad because I quite like it. It made it all the way up to my number 40 game of all time, and that is Cursed Court. This game is a replacement to poker for me. It is all about wagering on combinations of cards and how many of certain cards may come out as you're slowly dealing cards out. This game has amazing components, amazing mechanics, and is just a super fun game. Let me show you a picture of what the game actually looks like. That is stacking of chips along with a crown of your color on top of different spaces on the board, which allow you to wager that you think a card is going to come up multiple times, or certain combinations of cards are going to come up. And what happens is, at the beginning of each game, there is a card dealt between you and the person to your left, and you and the person to your right. And then throughout the game, more cards are dealt face up, which give you some idea because you know some of the cards, but not all of the cards, on what to wager on. And this is one of my favorite wagering games of all time. I absolutely adore this game. And that is Cursed Court. It is my number 40. Number 40 favorite game of all time.
My number 39 is Albion's Legacy.
Oh, another co-op.
Yes, it's a co-op game where you're supposed to be the people in King Arthur's court. I mean, the theme is kind of light on this. I feel like you could have made it anything. And
it could have been a generic fantasy game.
Yeah, because, I mean, you're in Camelot, and you have to adventure outside of Camelot, but you can't adventure too far for too long because there are monsters that are going towards Camelot, so every once in a while you have to go back and kill those monsters. And it is fun. I don't know. I have fun with it.
You love the co-op games. And
I
liked this one. But generally speaking, most of the co-op games we own are because you wanted them, not me. So this was all you. I don't know if any co-op games are in my top 100, actually. I mean, we're going on. I don't think I've had one yet, have I?
I don't know.
I'll have to see. I'm not sure. There might be some, but I'm not. None have popped up yet. So that was your number 39. Yes. My number 39 is a crossover from a much earlier part of the list. Tosh Kalar. Now, Tosh Kalar is a very, very intelligently done pattern-forming game by the very gifted designer Vlada Shvatil from Czech Republic. Now, I love the pattern forming this. You get a hand of cards, and they have patterns that you got to try to form, and your opponent doesn't know what patterns you're trying to form, but they're trying to outsmart you and stop you from forming patterns while trying to form their own patterns. And every time you form a pattern, it lets you do a special ability. This is just a really great game. The cover of it would have you believe it's a combat-oriented game, and it's not. But yeah, I said it when you had it come up on your list. This is one of the few occasions where I felt like I was given a bait and switch in regard to the cover art, but to the game, it was a bait and switch, but I didn't mind because the game was so good. Like, after we were done, I was like, wow, that had nothing to do with the cover of this game, and yet I still really like it. And I was surprised. But yeah, and I mean, it made it all the way up to my number 39 favorite game of all time, Tosh Klar.
My number 38 is another pick up and deliver game.
Did you just group them together on purpose?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Merchant of Venus. Remember I had Firefly all the way back too.
Oh, that's true. You did. That was Firefly was separated.
Well, because these are, I mean, Firefly and Merchant of Venus are very similar.
So wait a minute.
Pick up and deliver in space.
Is Merchant of Venus your favorite pick up and delivery game?
Maybe. I don't know if I have any more lower in the list.
Huh.
Might be.
I was gonna say because I'm it's like I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. I mean, it's a great game.
Well, I think because
it's lighthearted.
It's not as, I don't want to say heavy, because Firefly isn't like really heavy, but there's a lot more going on in Firefly.
Okay.
This one is straight up pick up and deliver. Like that is literally all you do in this game.
Okay.
Where in Firefly, yes, it's mainly pick up and deliver, but there's other things with like the crew and the ships and everything.
Okay.
So
this is a pretty pure pick up and delivery game. I would agree with you on that. This is a great game though. And I love there's a lighthearted nature to it. Like some of the cargoes you can get are really funny. Like there's a cargo called Impossible Furniture, which was hilarious, and it's like really bizarre looking furniture. So yeah. All right, so my number 38 favorite game of all time is a game that is fairly new to us. And this is one we've only been playing fairly recently, but we played it at 2 players, we played it at 4 players. We haven't done a review to it yet, so this is a little bit of a spoiler, mind you. But we've been really liking this game a lot. I don't know that it's ever gone over poorly. In fact, everyone we've played it with has liked it. And that is Sea of Clouds. Now, the Sea of Clouds is a little difficult to explain. I don't even know what you would call the mechanics in it. So
set collection?
Yes, there is set collection. But no, that's not the mechanic I was referring to. The mechanic that I'm not sure how to define is the bit where there's 3 sets of loot. And on your turn, you look at the first set of loot. It's face down. And you look at the cards and you're like, okay, do I want it or don't I want it? And if you want it, you take it and then you put 1 card back in its place from the deck. But if you don't want it, if you're like, I really don't want this, I want to see what else there is, you leave it, you add 1 card to it, and you look to the next set of loot. And you can go through all 3 of them. If you don't want any of them, you can take a random card from the deck. And then you're trying to do set collecting to get points. But the thing is, any of the groups you don't take, you're going to make them quite possibly more valuable by adding a card to them. And then the next opponent gets to look at them. And they might really want those. And it's not complicated. It's not complicated at all. But it's brilliant. I mean, it's just, this is a really beautiful looking game. Let me show you that cover art there because it's gorgeous. And, I mean, it's yellow. Everything yellow does is like a work of art in a box that you play, which is something I have to say about Yellow. Yellow does a great job on their production. I don't think, even when they do a bad game, we're like, but it's pretty. Because Yellow does, like, amazing production quality. So it is beautiful, but in addition to that, the game is solid. And we've never had a bad game of this, have we?
I don't think so.
I was going to say, I'm curious. This hasn't hit your list yet. I wonder if you like this even more than I do.
I didn't make it on my list.
No, it didn't?
I don't think so.
I'm actually surprised by that. Okay, fair enough. Well, that was my number 38, Sea of Clouds.
My number 37 is mystery, motive for murder.
Murder.
There's like 5 different ways to play this or something.
It might even be more than that. I'm not sure.
I don't even remember.
We've played them all. Well, I played them all, but the solo one. I didn't play the solo one. Have you played the solo one?
No.
You and I played all the multiplayer ones.
Yeah, our favorite one is the base one, though.
Yes.
So, but it's a fun tile laying game.
Oh yeah.
Where you're trying to you randomly select one tile to be the dead body, and then you have to lay tiles around it to make motives for these different people. And it's always fun to read the tile and the person
and read out their motive. Yeah. So strictly speaking, it's a very tight mechanical tile laying game, but that little bit of fluff about reading the motives is amazingly fun, and I'm with you on this one. Great game. So my number 37 is a game that is just oddly pleasing to play.
Okay.
The base mechanic of it, like when I do it, it puts a smile on my face. And that is Potion Explosion. Because the main thing you have to do is pull a marble out of the ingredient dispenser, and then the other marbles roll down and click together. I get a strange joy from that. I'm not ashamed to admit it. This, on top of that, this game is awesome, and it is super rewarding to figure out those combinations, because when the marbles roll down and click, if the same colors click together, like 2 black marbles, for instance, you get those marbles as well. And if you pull them out and then the same color clicks together again, like 2 red marbles, you get those as well. And those chain reactions are amazingly rewarding. That is what the potion dispenser looks like. It is super cool. It is super fun. And what you're trying to do is collect the right ingredients to make the potions in front of you, which when you succeed in making them, you get the points for them. And you get a one-use potion that gives you a special ability you can use later in the game. This game is amazingly fun. This is another one that it's not super complex, but I love this game. And that is why Potion Explosion is my number 37.
My number 36 is Pillars of the Earth.
I knew this was going to be on your list.
You've mentioned this one already. It's the one where you physically build the cathedral, and the cathedral pieces are
big chunky wooden pieces.
Yeah, they're big wooden pieces, and they use them as the first player marker, basically.
Yeah.
Which I think was really ingenious to do that.
It was. And it's so cool to watch the cathedral actually being built on the board while you're playing.
Yeah, I don't remember if you showed a picture of the back, but...
Might as well. The board is beautiful. The cathedral looks cool. It's just... There's a lot of great resource management and some very early type worker placement in this.
Yes.
Which is really cool.
And there's the bunch of people you could buy.
Yes, which give you extra.
You hire them.
They give you extra abilities.
Yeah.
They're cards. They're cards that give you extra abilities. No, this is a great game. Obviously, it was already on my list. I'm not going to disagree with you in any way, shape, or form. But my next one is my number 36. It is another game with marbles. I did not plan that. It's weird. But that is Zerts. Zerts is a amazingly bizarre-looking abstract strategy game where you make the board out of these rings, and then once the board is out on your table, you take turns either placing a marble on the rings and removing one of the rings from the board, or if you have the capability to jump other marbles like you do in checkers, you have to jump them. You can make multiple jumps in a row, and any of them that you jump, you capture, and it's a bit of a set collecting aspect, because if you wind up with either 4 white marbles, 5 gray marbles, 6 black marbles, or 3 of each color, you win the game. And the board gets slowly smaller and smaller, and this is one of those games that if you're playing this somewhere and people see you playing it, it's going to draw attention, because it looks so bizarre. People are going to come over and want to check it out. But on top of that, this is just an amazingly fun game to play, and the strategy and tactics of this are fantastic. And actually, even though it's got a big box, all the parts you need to play can fit in the little bag that comes in the box. You can just take it with you to the coffee house or pub. And we have.
Yes.
And it's great on the fly like that. And that is Zerts. Great game.
Okay, so my 35 is, there we go, Runebound, which I believe you've mentioned already too.
I did. This is another crossover.
Yes. Yeah, it's like an adventure game, but you're adventuring separately.
It is competitive. It's competitive
It's competitive.
Yes.
But you don't fight each other. You just fight the monsters and then eventually the dragon. I think there's multiple dragons.
There are multiple dragons. There's the big bad dragon, and then there's a few other dragons.
Yes, and we
just ignore me and Venris while this is going on. You keep going on.
We used to play this a whole lot, and then we just acquired more games that.
Well, we you know what? This is a game that still hits the table once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, you and I and Alex like this game a lot, so we will pull this out sometime and play it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. There are a lot of other games that have taken up some of our time since getting them, but. This is one, I think we kind of got to upgrade to the new edition at some point, which we never did, and the newer edition's been out for a long time, but I don't know, only because my old edition's getting kind of beat up a little bit. My next one is a fantastic game that we both enjoy, that we bring with us to the coffee shop, that is playable in a short amount of time, and that is Shadows in Kyoto. Now, something you didn't mention when this was on your list much earlier on is the asymmetrical player powers in this. There's a bunch of player powers to choose from, and they're really cool. There's some and they really change how your strategy is going to work, because each of them, some of them give you extra moves or all sorts of different abilities, and they're really fun. In addition to that, this again borrows that cool mechanic of the from Stratego, of the light bluffing, where you have the pieces but you can't see what they are, and they move in an attack, and then your opponent has to reveal what they are. But it does it in a more advanced, because of the misinformation, where the thing is, you can win if you capture correct information from your opponent from multiple of their spies, but you can lose if you capture misinformation from your opponent from some of their spies. And that's a really interesting dynamic. And then there's also a third way to win, where you get one of the correct information to one of your opponent's starting spaces. I love this game. This game is so fun. And that is Shadows in Kyoto.
My number 34 is Junk Art, which has also already been mentioned.
We've had quite a lot of crossovers in this part of the list here.
It's a fun... Is it dexterity?
You could say dexterity. I would say stacking / dexterity.
Dexterity, depending on which cities you have.
But it's definitely stacking.
Yeah.
But I mean, balance could be considered dexterity. So.
Yeah, it was a fun game for the whole family.
Yeah. Well, really. we really enjoy this, and we play this. Yeah. We play this with a lot of different people, especially as a light. Not too serious game, because everybody laughs it up when you play this game. It's a very good. I mean, I wouldn't call it a filler game, because it's a little too long for a filler game.
Yeah.
But it's a good lighthearted game. Definitely, like when you're not wanting to play something too serious. Why so serious? So my number 34 is Kodama. Now, Kodama is a game that I'm holding upside down. Kodama is a game where you are building trees by laying cards out on the board and connecting them in logical ways to the branches on your main tree card, which starts out on the board. And the different cards, as you place them, let me show you what that kind of looks like. The different cards have items on them, like fireflies or flowers or mushrooms or clouds. And if you can link a chain of cards with the same items on you, that's how you get the points. And in addition to that, you get a hand of cards. At the end of every full round of growth, you play a card which gives you bonus points based on what you put on the tree. This is an amazing game. This is a game that we bought. We bought this at like a little convention where the company Action Phase Games, who put this out, were there. It was what convention was that?
HoosierCon?
Yes, HoosierCon. So we were at HoosierCon one year, and they were there, And the thing was, it was like the first day of HoosierCon. We went to go check out the dealer hall, and they weren't open yet. But they had a couple of tables in the hallway for people who couldn't fit in the dealer hall, and they were already out and selling their stuff. And one of the tables that was out and selling their stuff was Action Phase Games. So we started talking to them, and they told us about this game, and we were looking at it, and we're like, this game looks amazing. And we bought it. And we went upstairs. We didn't have an event scheduled for a while. We went up to our hotel room, and we just played it. And we were like, "Oh my god, this game is so fun!" And this has been a game that has hit our table quite a bit since then, as well. And I like this game a lot. I'll play this game anytime, and it's a big part of why Kodama is my number 34 favorite game of all time.
My number 33 is Onami, that you've already mentioned.
We've got a lot of crossover at this point. You know what's interesting is there wasn't a lot of crossover in the beginning, then there's a lot of crossover down here. I think it's going to get less as we go up, because there's actually a lot of things high on my list that I'm pretty sure you didn't pick.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Well, yeah. I think I mentioned this before when you talked about it, that maybe I didn't. I really prefer this at 2 players.
I said 2 to 3 players.
I think it's basically a 2-player game that they tried to make go up to 6 players because dice have 6 sides. I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, I like this game.
They wanted to use the dice super bad.
Yeah, I like this game a lot, but I am of the opinion that it's better with fewer players. 2 to 3 players is definitely better. I like it best at 2 and 3. I'm with you on that, 100%. So my number 33. Wow, we're getting low here. Look at this. My number 33 is the game Battlelore. Now, we talked about this a little bit before because you had put it on your list. I obviously like it more than Lynn does. This is a game I wish hit the table more often, but it is a bit of a time-consuming game. There's a lot to it, and it's a really great game. It's battle strategy, but it's not just about killing your opponent. It's kind of like King of the Hill. You're capturing and holding objectives and getting points from them. And it's an amazingly fun war strategy game or battle strategy game with miniatures on a hexagonal board. And I love it. I really like Battlelore a lot. I mean, and obviously I made it my number 33.
My number 32 is...
on with the co-ops.
Another cooperative game.
You have a lot of co-op games in your list. I'm not surprised.
It's Jupiter Rescue.
You had it sideways.
Yes.
It's 90 degrees to the wrong side.
You are robots on a spaceship full of humans.
I think it's a station.
Station. Okay. Space station full of humans. And there are aliens that are attacking and taking over the humans and turning them into aliens. And your job as the protector robot is to get get the humans off the station by putting them into an escape pod.
And this is a lot harder than it sounds.
It is.
The humans do not cooperate without specific instruction.
No.
Humans are frustrating.
They are. But you do get a card that is your special ability at the beginning that you can use every turn.
Kind of becomes an asymmetrical player power.
And then and it changes every game because you just randomly get a card. And then you get a hand of cards which you can use like one-off special abilities. And
this is not a bad co-op game. This is a co-op game that I would play with you when you want to play co-op games. But it is very difficult. Mm-hmm. In fact, we haven't beaten it yet.
No, but we will. We will.
Maybe. My number 32 is Ex Libris, a game we've talked about already, where you are trying to be the gnome head librarian in the new library, and you're building up a library to do it, and it's a worker placement game. But each player gets 2 generic workers and 1 worker with a unique power that is different from everybody else's. And then in addition, you're building a tableau of shelves of books, which have to be in the right alphabetical order to score you points at the end. This is currently, I think, one of my favorites of what I would say is close to it's not fully a pure worker placement because there is that whole tableau building thing too. But this is rather than talk about games that have a little bit of worker placement in it with a lot of other things going on, this is a worker placement game. And as a worker placement game, as an actual worker placement game, this is one of my favorite worker placement games. This game is great. I absolutely love Ex Libris.
Okay, my number 31 we should be on.
Oh, wow. We down to our last two for this group? Oh, wow. This went fast.
Last two, last one. 31.
No, your one and then my one. That's two.
Yeah. My number 31 is...
I think we're saying the same thing, just in different ways.
Okay. Is Surakarta.
Yes. The infamous Surakarta.
So...
Of nefarious origins.
Yeah. It's supposedly from, like, Java or something, right?
Well...
I don't know.
It was published in the 70s in Europe, claiming to be an ancient game from Java, but from what we've found online, nobody in Java has ever heard of this game.
No.
So there is the thought that it may have been somewhere along the lines made up. Mm-hmm. But that being said, it's still a fun game, and the whole going about the loops is amusing.
It has a unique way of capturing pieces, because you have to, in order to capture a piece, you have to go through a loop. You can be right next to each other, but if there's no way for you to loop-de-loop before hitting the other piece, you can't capture it.
And as long as you're unobstructed, you could go through multiple loops.
Yes.
Which I love going through like 3 loops before hitting someone and they didn't see it coming at all. That is amusing. And I'm not going to... Yeah, that's a good choice. My last one for this part of the list, my number 31, is a game that allows you to build a space station. Now, people who know me know that two of my favorite things to play in board games are things that have to do with space and things that have to do with building things. So you put them both together and you get Among the Stars. I love this game. It's very similar to like a city building game or like in Caverna where you're building a farm. You're laying out cards almost like they're tiles to build your space station, and you're having to do it in an intelligent way. But yeah, this game is great. And basically there's very little player interaction because most of it is you do a draft to get the cards for the round, and then you play the cards into your station in the right order as long as they're powered and whatnot, because you have to play power stations periodically to power the different rooms. And then at the end, whoever has the most points wins. Different parts of the station are worth different amounts of points. Some of them get extra points for being near certain other parts of the station or just having other parts of the station there. I love this game. This game is tons of fun. And again, any game where I'm building something really makes me feel like I accomplished something by the end. Because you look down and you're like, look, I built this space station. Look what I did.
Maybe you should take up carpentry or something. Actually build something.
Why you got a harsh my buzz. Okay, so that was our numbers 40 through 31. When we come back, we're going to be doing our top 30. That's going to be like the creme de la creme, if you ask me. I mean, that's the top 30 games of all time for each of us. And I can't wait to see, because I'm getting really interested to see what's in your top 10. But there you have it. So why don't you comment down below? Let us know if you agree or disagree with some of our picks, what you think of each of our picks. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like. Share it on any forms of social media you might have. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the board game Kaptain. That's Kaptain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.